everybody, it's Star Raptor here. Welcome to my spoiler-free review of it. I don't usually watch horror movies, but all the buzz surrounding this movie, I had to check it out. And seeing it in a theater full of people reacting to all the scares, myself included, was just an absolute blast. So what is this movie about? Well, I don't want to give too much away, obviously, but what I can say is there's a small town called Derry, and a lot of kids are going missing. And one of the missing kids, their brother decides to get a group of his friends together, and they're going to go investigate and see what is actually taking these kids away. And what I can say is it's a mystery kind of thing, and there's lots of killing and lots of gore, and this is pretty much an R-rated version of Stranger Things. Well, one of the actual actors from Stranger Things is in a pretty sizable role in this movie, so it does help that for that alone. And obviously, if you've seen the trailers, it's basically a killer clown. But there's a lot more to it than that. So I'm going to jump right into my positives. And first off, I want to mention that the acting all around in this movie was pretty well done, especially considering that most of this movie is acted from kids. This is all about the kids. And, they just were bouncing really well off each other. And I also was very impressed by the acting of Pennywise. This is the main villain. He's on all the, teasers and everything. This is about him, the clown. And just the way that this guy is acting is just very chilling. His range and his voice is just like saying these things that just will haunt your memory, haunt your mind. It's just really crazy. And what makes this movie different than any other horror movie is my next point here, because most horror movies, they tend to be pretty shallow. Like, okay, we have these random characters that are just going to get killed off one by one by one. I'm talking about like Halloween and Freddy vs. All them guys. Those movies are very just straightforward, where this movie actually takes a step to the side and just decides to put characters at the forefront. And you have these kids that are actually having these backstories in real life, like kids dealing with bullies because they're in high school, and then like one girl dealing with her abusive father, another boy that his grandfather is giving him a tough raising. So it's just really cool seeing how these kids are growing up at the same time as this like tragedy is going around their town. And it's just really interesting seeing as well like their fears, because what happens without giving too much away again is like each kid has their own fear, and that is kind of running through their head and terrorizing them. So it's interesting seeing like these things come to fruition and come to reality in conjunction with the flow of the plot and how that all kind of fits in with each other. And I just want to say they do a fantastic job making this filled with tension. All the things happening. The sound, the music design was top notch. And you just see these characters, and they're doing these things that I'm shouting at the screen, like, you don't want to go into that dark room, you don't want to go into that dark basement, and you know that stuff bad is going to happen to these people. And not as bad as I thought it would be, because holy crap, there was some stuff that my mouth was left to the floor. Like, I just was like, whoa, I didn't expect this movie to go quite where it was, and it definitely deserves that R rating. So there are a couple things that I want to say that were a bit negative about this film. And first off, I will say, like, it was a bit long. Now, there's moments in here that I was like, okay, this is the end of the movie. Okay, this is the end of the movie. And it just kept going on. This is a 2-hour and 15-minute film, so be prepared. It's an endurance race of just dealing with absolute terror, because there's not a lot of levity in this. There is a lot of jokes and stuff made by the one kid from Stranger Things most of the time, but for the most part, it is filled with dread. And there are certain scenes in this movie that I feel were just like so out of place, like that added slow-mo and heavy metal, and you'll know of the scenes I'm talking about, but I'm not going to give them away. But yeah, there was things they kind of like messed up the pacing for me, and just were like, okay, that really didn't need to be in the movie at all. And one final negative for me would be the amount of jump scares. I think that it was kind of a cheap thing for a film to put too many jump scares. Now, don't get me wrong, they do great with horror in this movie. There's lots of lots of cool things that they kind of reveal, but a lot of these things were just jump scares, and it almost seemed like they were just throwing them all over the place and just handling it a bit too frequently for my taste. But with that being said, I'm going to give it a score of an 8 out of 10. This is one of the best horror movies I've seen in a long time. The Conjuring is probably my favorite. But this movie did something that a lot of other horror movies don't do, and that is put characters in the forefront. And I just cannot wait for the sequel when these kids are going to be grown up and dealing with, the plot of what happened in this movie all over again. So I really can't wait for that. Now it's time for you guys to tell me, what did you think about it? Was it really scary? Not so much? Did it live up to the hype? Let's talk about it in that comment section below. And also, if you're new to the channel, I have plenty of other content, including lots of TV, lots of movies. I put up my reaction to Punisher's first trailer, and I also have tons of Star Wars content. So make sure you're subscribed so you get notifications of videos in the future. I release content on a weekly basis, a couple of videos a week. But that is going to do it for me, Star Raptor. I want to thank you guys for watching, and bye-bye. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @StarRaptor.